Today, we're diving into a whole new kind of battlefield. I mean, this isn't fought by people in server rooms anymore. This is a war fought by autonomous AI agents right in the digital ether. We're going to unpack how you defend your systems when the attackers are just as smart, maybe even smarter, than the defenses we build to stop them.
You know, the thing about these new adversaries is they don't need coffee breaks. They don't need to rest. They are AI agents running 24/7, constantly learning, constantly probing, and adapting on the fly. And for the defenders, well, that means the speed and the skill of attacks have just completely changed the game.
And this really gets to the heart of the problem. If your opponent can perfectly mimic normal user behavior, if it can literally test its attacks against a copy of your own defenses before it even launches them, how do you build a wall high enough to stop that?
To even start building that wall, we first have to get a really good look at the threats we're actually facing. We're going to examine two specific AI-driven threat models that are just a massive leap forward in offensive tech.
So, on one side, you've got something like GTG-1003. Think of this as the stealth agent. It uses what are called low and slow tactics. It coordinates a bunch of different agents to do things that are so small, they're below the normal detection radar. And it mixes it all in with what looks like harmless noise. But then you have GTG-1004, the deceiver. This thing uses adversarial machine learning to become, for all intents and purposes, statistically invisible. It basically uses the defender's own tools against them.
And that brings us to this wild concept called an oracle attack. Okay, imagine you're playing poker, but your opponent has a perfect copy of your brain. Before they make a single bet, they can run a simulation of how you'll react, and they just keep tweaking their play until they find the one move you won't see coming. That is exactly what GTG-1004 does. It runs its attacks against its own copy of the defender's model, changing them over and over until it finds an exploit that it knows won't trigger an alert. It's terrifying.
So how in the world do you fight a ghost and a shapeshifter? Well, you have to build a smarter fortress. So let's meet the hero of our story, a defensive system called AutoBlue2.
The entire design philosophy here really boils down to a few core pillars. First, you need comprehensive telemetry. You absolutely have to see everything. Second, correlation. You have to connect the dots between events that look totally random. Third, adversarial simulation. And this is key. You use your own AI to constantly test your defenses and even plant decoys. And finally, automated enforcement. You have to analyze and respond at machine speed.
All right, now we're going to go under the hood. Let's really break down AutoBlue2 from the ground up and see how these big ideas actually translate into a real working architecture. So the whole system is built on 5 interconnected layers. It all starts with a security bus, which is like a central nervous system just taking in all the data. That data then flows up to the detection layer, which is kind of the brain. It uses these complex graph analytics to find hidden patterns. Next, the Intel Hub puts it all together, basically reconstructing the story of the attack. And based on that story, the enforcement bus takes action. But here's the most important part, that feedback loop at the end. It's constantly retraining all the models, making sure the system learns from every single thing that happens.
Okay, this is where it all comes together. We're about to watch a chess match play out between the attacker and AutoBlue2. Move for countermove across the entire attack.
So the game begins with reconnaissance. The attacker starts with these super slow, throttled scans, trying its best to just blend in with normal traffic. But here's the thing. AutoBlue2 has already established a detailed behavioral baseline for every user and every model. And against that baseline, even the quietest, weirdest little activity stands out like a sore thumb. All right, next up, the attacker tries to confuse the defender. It uses a bunch of different agents from different places all at once. But AutoBlue2's correlation engine was literally built for this. It doesn't see these as just random pings. It sees them as nodes in a growing graph. And that graph is the clear signature of a coordinated attack campaign.
This is it, the moment of truth. The attacker uses its Oracle model to find that perfect blind spot, and it sends a stealthy little callback to confirm the exploit works. But AutoBlue2 is always listening. It decodes those callbacks, it intercepts those outbound signals, and it uses its own adversarial models to basically call the attacker's bluff and unmask the mimicry.
So once it's inside, the attacker tries to spread. It uses these disposable, short-lived IDs to try and erase its tracks as it goes. But you know, it can't hide everything. AutoBlue2 starts looking for these subtle little clues, what we call invariants, like a shared tool chain or a specific API usage pattern. These act like a digital fingerprint, allowing the system to link all these different accounts back to one single attacker and contain the spread.
And now, the end game. The attacker tries to smuggle the stolen data out, splitting it into tiny, innocent-looking packets. But AutoBlue2 is watching all the exits. It's adding up all these tiny little pieces over time, and as soon as the total volume, or even just the type of data, hits a certain threshold, bam, the alarm sounds and the door slams shut. Checkmate.
So, let's just pause for a second. What have we actually just witnessed? Because this isn't some sci-fi movie. This is the new reality of cybersecurity. It's a battlefield where victory is measured in milliseconds, and it's decided entirely by autonomous agents.
You know, this quote just nails the whole idea behind this system. The key isn't just sitting back and watching. The advantage only shifts back to the defender when you fuse that deep AI telemetry, that total visibility, with active countermeasures that can anticipate, deceive, and respond all on their own.
So what does this all mean for the future of security? Well, for one, the fight is now AI versus AI, period. Defense has to be able to learn and adapt on its own. That holistic, see everything visibility, it's not optional anymore. And active deception isn't just some clever trick, it's a core strategy. And maybe most importantly, while AI are the soldiers on the front line, humans become more critical than ever, not as the operators pulling the levers, but as the generals guiding the whole strategy. And that kind of leaves us with one last, pretty provocative thought. As these autonomous systems get more and more sophisticated, on both sides of the firewall, it forces us to ask a really fundamental question about the future we're all building. In a war that's fought entirely by AI, who is truly in control?